I'm so sorry. I just hit live by accident, so my stream is live.
I went live too. I was ready.
Okay, we are live. What's up, Darbo?
Oh, not much, Byron. It's been a while. It was like we had 2 weeks where we didn't have this podcast together. I had one for the Masters recap. You took the week off, and then last week we were like, dude, it's the Zurich. Let's
it's
not.
the Zurich. So
Yeah.
let's not. I agree. You know, fun to watch. I kind of fired out a couple random things, random bets, blah, blah, blah. Nothing too crazy in that department. It was a fun tournament. We're going to let's chat about it right off the top rope, Darbo. So,
yeah,
as always, the show, we're going to recap the Zurich, preview the Cadillac Championship at Doral National. We're going to deep dive the course. I've got some cool nuggets on the golf course, what we can expect, what kind of player profiles are going to thrive at Doral, using some live data from the last 2 years. And then, you know, we'll look at the sweet spot DFS buckets, all of that stuff, kind of diving into our various things. So it's a weird situation, Darbo, because Alex Fitzpatrick now is a PGA Tour member.
Yes. At the beginning of the week, I mean, I did put out a video and it went over the strategy and stuff, but like it kind of felt like Matt Fitzpatrick is so on fire right now that if we assume that Alex Fitzpatrick, with how, you know, he just won almost a month ago or something like that, pretty darn close. It was right after Matt won the Valspar. He won
It was like
DP.
2 weeks ago. It was the Indian.
Yeah. So
Or
he
sorry,
was,
3 weeks
you
ago,
can make an argument that he's also playing, he's on a heater too. So it was like, well, if Fitzpatrick, who they've played in this tournament the last couple of years, I think last year they finished 11th. It's like, well, with how good Matt Fitzpatrick's been playing, if all things are the same, those guys should, you know, dollywop the rest of the field, which they shot yesterday in best ball 15 under.
15 under par, dude.
15 under. It's insane. So, hey, I'm kind of excited for the Fitzpatrick brothers. That was cool. That was a lot of cool to watch, especially Matt's shot on the last hole. And then, you know, Alex realizing now he's a PGA Tour member because of the win. That's pretty cool.
Dude, it is really cool. I went through their round today because, you know, per usual, nerdy stuff. I did check out, I ran an alt shot model for the two of them based off of, obviously we didn't have enough data for Fitzy, Alex, because he doesn't have any, you know, approach level data or anything like that being on the DP World Tour. But we just know how good Fitz is around the greens. Take a look at this situation here. Fitzpatrick today, he had 4 chips when Alex missed the green. And on the second hole, he had a 69-foot bunker shot that he hit to 14 inches. On the 9th hole, he had a 44-foot chip he hit to 2 feet. On the 16th hole, he had an 88-foot chip right of the green there on that par 3, which is like, or the par 4, sorry. Not the best place to be, 3 feet. Then on 18, he hit that 35-yard bunker shot, which is like a 110-foot shot to 14 inches out the bunker again. So, like, anytime Alex let Fitz down with the approach play, Alex walked up to the green and tapped in a par putt. You know, like, so that was really a nice way to kind of go into the alt shot with such a big lead, knowing that Fitz was going to hit the tee ball most of the time. They made a double, the only bad drive Fitzy really hit. Then tee ball down the middle. What's Alex going to do from there to mess it up that bad? Because Fitzy hit 8 drives and Alex hit 6. That's how the par 3s worked out on the alt shot. So they could hide some of their weaknesses, you know, and I would have expected Fitz to hit most of the approach shots because that's just where he separates himself. But I think his short game in alt shot could help them make pars a lot more than, you know, because, dude, anytime they were in trouble, Fitz got them. Like, they scrambled so well today. They scrambled really, really well. So
yeah, it's like big brother protecting little brother. I mean, you can put all the narratives like all the cool narratives towards this win. It fits. Well, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
And it
there we go.
fits when the shoe,
I
when
didn't
the
even
shoe
try.
fits, when the
Didn't
belt
even try.
fits. So that was impressive to see. I had Tom Hoagie and Billy Horschel to win this thing. They just didn't have enough firepower in the best ball portion of this. They were great in the old shot stuff. It was fun. You know, it was a good. These guys just got way too far. 15 under par, Darber, is deep, dude. That is so deep. They started today after 3 rounds, 30 under par. That was due to 1 round being 15. You know, that's just insane.
There's one thing I was thinking about this. I'm like, you know, I usually have a buddy or two that are very serious in golfing, and we'll do the little scramble tournaments together, just the two of us or whatever. And like, we're decent golfers. I think the best I've ever done in a scramble with another golfer is 13 under. Just a twosome. 13 under scramble. They did 15 under best ball, which is just taking the best score between two golfers playing 18 holes that on each hole.
Yeah.
That is ultimate ham and egg. And like, that's what everybody understands when it comes to any team tournament, is how well you can ham and egg. I mean, they should just be called the Ham and Egg Brothers, because that was insane, like what they were able to do.
Yeah. In England, they'll be called the Dovetail Brothers, because that's how we call it. Everyone else, when I got to America, ham and egging is like, what the hell's ham and egging? You know, like it's dovetailing. That's what the rest of the world calls.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Where you
I've heard
kind
dovetailing
of
before.
Deal with the variance, lean into the variance of best ball, which was what they did, and it was hilarious. Jeff messaged me, Feinberg, and asked me like for a prop, so I replied back to him. I said Fitzpatrick top 10 plus 100. I just don't see them making enough birdies to win this thing, but I see them playing well enough to be top 10. What a horrible message to send off. You know, like, you know, the bet cashed, but I couldn't be more wrong about how it cashed. It was in dominant fashion. So the boys are back in town. Alex Fitzpatrick now kicks Michael Thorbjornsen out of the Cadillac Championship. Bitch, get out the seat. He DT80'd his ass out of there. Just pulled him out of the seat. It's my wheel. Take the Cadillac. I'm driving to Doral National.
I mean, with the money he made, he can afford a Cadillac now.
Yeah, he can. But he's the brother of the third best golfer in the world, who's probably, I don't know how far away now with a third win in a space of a couple weeks is insane to think about for old Matt Fitzpatrick. And it just goes to show you how strong the course history is at Augusta, because he's now, I think, on win, second, win, and then I think he had like a T13 at Augusta. You know, like to have that good of a stretch of golf, and then the Augusta thing to be the one real outlier, which is still a good finish, but not nearly as good as the rest of his results. It's kind of crazy to see. So he still hasn't finished inside the top 10 at Augusta after a single round.
Wow.
You know, like, remember we spoke about this heading into it.
That's right.
And I went and deep dove it even further. It's all the way back to 2016. You know, if you take away like there's a big gap in his. But we're talking about the Zurich. It is what it is, but doesn't matter now. But he's rocking the Louisiana leather around his waist. So good to see that you guys do it there.
The broadcast said something about he's the first Englishman in a while to win 3 tournaments on the PGA Tour. I can't remember. I think it was like 1985 was the last time it happened, and I'm not sure.
Wow.
I don't think it was Faldo that they mentioned. It was some other name. I can't remember what it is, but
interesting.
It is kind of
insane.
Yeah. But I mean, like, there just hasn't been super good Englishmen, you know, like
Luke Donald got to world number 1.
Oh,
but
that's
he must
true.
have
Luke Donald, yeah.
But I don't know if he was maybe just probably finishing second in all the majors and things like that.
I remember Luke Donald was almost like top 10 in every tournament. He was like, you could jot him down for a top 10 in every tournament.
So maybe he wasn't doing it with winning. He was just doing it with just utter floor, just floor being the height of the ceiling kind of thing, which was, classic Luke Donald stuff. Anything else? It was interesting to see, like, when Hayden Springer and Alex Smalley were priced, they were the way they were in DFS, and odds makers had them like kind of at the top of the boardish. Like, was like, what on earth?
You know what's funny though? My model also liked Smalley. So
Well, obviously Smalley, but
yeah.
the Springer dinger like was the problem for me because I went and took a look at his KFT stuff, and it wasn't even like he's playing fantastic golf on the KFT. He's just doing fine.
Mhm.
You know, like not really contending anything like that. He's just been fine. Comes out here and has a chance to like change his career. And I do have one. I will say what some people are thinking.
Let's
The
hear it.
fact that your brother is the reason you got to start in a PGA Tour event is
Mm.
and I will say this though, in the same sentence, that Matthew Fitzpatrick did not make it easy for Alex Fitzpatrick to win this tournament today.
Mhm.
Alex had multiple situations where his brother let him down, to be honest with you. His brother also saved his ass a couple times too. But
Right.
his brother did let him down, and he got them out of trouble a couple times there too. So he earned it. Did he deserve to be in the field? This is the nature of the tournament. You know, like when someone like Hayden Springer is the potential bridesmaid in a situation like this, I don't think this is as life-changing for Alex Fitzpatrick as it is for Hayden Springer, you know, because Alex Fitzpatrick is now a DP World Tour winner. He was kind of probably going to make his way onto the PGA Tour naturally anyway. Now he's just got much better exemption and things like that. But Springer, this could have really changed his life, kind of like the Davis Riley and Nick Hardy situation, where guys that probably were never going to win tournaments, minus Davis Riley, who would just dominate Scotty Scheffler a couple months later. It's a much better story from a rags to riches type situation. But, you know, this one's also pretty cool with the brothers doing it. I think Matthew Fitzpatrick's won a US Open. He's won the RBC Heritage in a playoff versus Scotty Scheffler to win it for a second time. He's also won the Valspar, and this being his third win in the space of like 5 weeks or something, is his most special win because it's with his brother too.
Yeah.
You know, like, so.
Yeah, it looked awesome when they embraced afterwards and gave each other hugs. It was, you could just tell, like, Alex was like, thank you so much. And Matt's like, hey, buddy, we finally got you on the tour. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And you could see where Matt Fitzpatrick kind of got nervous, where he wasn't playing for himself anymore. Like, he got nervous because he's playing for his brother's PGA Tour card. I think that's way more nerve-wracking than actually doing it for yourself too, you know. And he hit some really bad shots when he realized down the stretch there. Fun stuff. So anything else? Yeah, you wanted to say some stuff?
Yeah, so there's something in my chat. I think I had mentioned to come to your chat to put on the screen. But he had said, you know, Hayden Springer is a birdie maker. How many course records does he have? And if you remember, he did shoot 59 at the John Deere Classic, right?
Yeah.
So that's a good call.
Point.
It's a good call. And I mean, he finished 18th here last year at the Zurich, which 18th isn't like spectacular, but it's still a decent finish, you know?
Yeah. But it's also like, how can you even use course history? His partner wasn't Alex Smalley.
I know.
Like that's the like, but you know, sometimes you overlook things. Sometimes you don't, you know, like
it is difficult. It was difficult to handicap. It was difficult to determine, you know, what were the best plays. Like, I was really on Sudarshan with Ryan Gerard.
Oh my God.
By the way, here's a interesting nugget. I'm not sure if you watched this or saw it or whatever, but I think I watched a YouTube clip. Smiley Kaufman was one of 4 options for Ryan Gerard.
Yeah.
And he had reached out to Kaufman or Smiley, I should say, and was like, hey, I have these in there. Are you willing to play? And so Smiley goes, how did you even find my like what happened? Because Ryan Gerard's buddy David Ford has an injury, so that's also something to note. He has an injury and he couldn't play in the Zurich, so he asked the PGA Tour, what do I do? And they're like, well, you can put anybody who's been an exempt member for the last 20 years on your team. And so he said he got a list of 600 golfers.
What?
Yeah, 600. 600.
That's insane.
So he went down the list and he saw Smiley's name. He's like, well, shoot, let's give Smiley a chance. And
Why
so,
not? Yeah.
yeah, he reached out. So, the whole Alex Fitzpatrick with Matt Fitzpatrick, it kind of reminds me of like going back to that. It's like, hey, he shouldn't actually even be here. But it's like, I think he is one of those, because he played in a major championship or something like that. Just having an event under your belt that is a PGA Tour sanctioned event gives you status to play in this event. So even if it wasn't Matt bringing him here, he could have played with anybody who wanted him on the team, on their team.
No, I agree. I'm just saying that it's a weird situation where, some people don't have the exempt thing where he did, which he deserved. He very much so deserved. So, we'll see how that all works out for him down the road. I've been for the last minute trying to figure out how to get Google Sheets onto dark mode, but I'm in a new studio now. So like just changing my screen is like,
it's not that bad. It's not that big of a deal. I get it.
It is what it is. I'll figure it out. This is like a kind of the dry run now. So I'm not out of the old studio, in the new one now. We're prepping the house to sell this thing. Yeah. So we'll see how that goes for us as well. I think life's going to be quite busy for me this summer. Wish me luck.
I mean, your summer already looked busy anyways.
Yeah. No. It's going to be a fun. Going to hate myself at times. So we'll see how it goes. All right. Darrell, Darbo. Yeah. Let's take a peek and take a look here. I've got some stuff that I threw in the research station for us in my Model Maniac Discord. Here is the Live leaderboard for 2025. Mark Leishman, Charles Schwartzel, Sergio Garcia, Carlos Ortiz, Bryson DeChambeau. If you take a look at these guys, it's all like approach play. It's all ball striking. If you just, I ran some correlations over here, and these are strokes gain correlations to strokes gain total based off strokes gain putting around the green, all of that. Putting and approach plays, typically how you see these correlations come through for most PGA Tour events as well. So this isn't too shocking, but off the tee metrics are never really this close to approach play. Like ball striking is through the roof in 2025 at this golf course. So I think ball strikers and distance kicked accuracy's ass in a big way when it came to correlations over here. If you take a look at 2025, Darbo, what do you notice?
I mean, the putting stats look ridiculous.
Yeah. They'll be putting on Bermuda grass this week in Florida.
I guess what points out to you?
I just think it's flushes that can putt. I mean, what really stuck out to me is the around the green play. Like, I don't know how much you can trust Live strokes gained, but it's really interesting to see that the majority of the people inside the top 10 were losing strokes around the green.
And this was their performance at that event, right?
At Doral, yeah. That in 2025. Then if we go to 2024, it kind of changes up a little bit. But still, again, not that much being gained around the greens. It's all still with the putter. It's still all balls. What really stuck out to me in 2024 was heavy ball striking. Look at the correlation ball striking wise. I mean, that is
are these intense. Average? These are averages per round, right?
Correct. They're not totals.
Okay.
I probably could have run it by round to get better correlation, find it tuned, but it does the job. I think, if you just consider, yes.
I was gonna say, is your green and reg, is that also all 4 rounds calculated together? So it's 80% for the week for Sergio for greens and regulation?
I think so.
Okay. I mean, then you look at his around the green stats. It's like, well, how many shots did he truly have?
Around the green. Yeah, exactly. What? It's only like 54 holes.
6 total shots or something like that. So it's 10. That's kind of a, when it comes to stuff like that, having a huge number for strokes gained around the green, whether positive or negative, I don't know, Byron, as you're talking about this, I mean, that just looks like it's kind of, no one excels at around the green. Everyone's pretty much right at par with what it would be expected for an average player to, you know, go around the green. So
Yeah,
I guess that
agree.
doesn't signal much to me for around the green,
No,
but I think you're spot on with the flushers that can putt. Although
especially
there's this
with
year.
distance. Take a look at, well, this is filtered by distance. So
Oh, gotcha.
these are ball strikers. It was kind of interesting to see the top 5 guys in distance who are also good at ball striking. You know, they were inside the top 10. Matthew Wolff, Dean Burmester, John Rahm, Bryson DeChambeau, Walco Neiman, all inside the top 10, all drove the living piss out of the golf ball this week, you know. So I think what I noticed in particular is if you're looking for high end productivity from some guys that don't necessarily have the best short game, if you just have tons of distance off the tee and are still a good iron player, we should be in good shape.
I mean, the distance guys there all have positive around the green stats that finished inside the top 10.
That's
the next
also
guy that comes afterwards is Andy Ogletree, which, you know, a decorated amateur golfer, but, you know, not like top tier golfer. But anyways, he was a top distance guy, and then his around the green stats just stunk.
And some of these guys don't even have that solid approach play numbers for the week. One of them lost. Bryson lost on approach. You know,
that's that whole formula of strokes gained ball striking. Their off the tee stats were so good that they can afford to not be super good on approach and still score well.
Yeah. And, you know, the ball striking numbers for these guys are pretty solid too. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I expected. But there were a couple days that were super windy, you know, based off of what I just took a look at the last little, you know, a couple hours ago. It looks like we're going to be in good shape on Thursday, Friday, for the most part. It's going to be quite calm around here. Okay. Let me get this banner out the way. Saturday, Sunday looks pretty calm as well, for the most part. You know, maybe Sunday gets a lot out of control. We'll see. But that's basically all that I've put in there so far. What else did I have in here? So yeah, in 2025, all the ball strikers, the best 6 ball strikers were top 10 in the field as well. Harold Varner, Sergio, Bryson, Leishman, John Rahm, and Carlos Ortiz, all, you know, ball struck the living piss out of it in 2025. Cool. So that's kind of what we're up to there. I did also put in, sorry, let me add some more stuff here. I put in the dark mode. It's not working for me. Here's the micro model, and I put in some stuff for the golf course somewhere. This is Dural. Some of the stuff isn't fully updated. I'll tell you what isn't. But this is the golf course. It's 7,760 yards. So it's a beast. It's an absolute monster. The blue monster is what they call it, right? So we're going to be seeing a lot of shots that if you even just hitting approaches off of drives that go 314 yards, you're going to be seeing a golfer with 7 approach shots from 200 plus this week.
Wow.
You know, over here.
Sam Stevens in the field.
Yeah. Scotty Scheffler is one of them. This is the top of the board, obviously. But you're going to be seeing a ton of shots from 200 plus. You're also going to be seeing a decent amount from 100 to 150. So there's a nice variety of shots here. But I mean, 7 shots is almost like half of your shots from 200 plus. And that's Scotty Scheffler. If you go to someone that's a little shorter, maybe Tommy Fleetwood, does that change his? Yeah, he starts finding himself with a couple more mid irons and wedges. Does Tommy Fleetwood? So that's kind of just how I expected this course to play a little bit based off of these holes. I mean, 460, 475, 450, 478, 460. You know, like these holes are beasts for par 4s. You know, so we'll see how it goes. Also, the par 3s. 245, 207, 227, long par 3s. So we'll see how it goes, Dabo. Your overall thoughts about Dural this week?
I'm kind of excited to see how this is going to play this year. I mean, you know, you look back in the history of on the PGA Tour, you know, 2013 to 2016, at least for me, because that's how much data that my data goes back to 2013. So obviously those are the years that I have for the Cadillac Championship. It's like you can almost make a correlation between Masters success, like success at the Masters, and success at this golf course, because you have a lot of overlap. Patrick Reed, trying to remember everybody. Adam Scott won in 2016. Dustin Johnson won in 2015. Patrick Reed in 2014. And then there was Bubba up there. Bubba, and then Tiger Woods, Steve Stricker. So I guess I would anticipate a lot of the guys that are usually really good at the Masters to do well at this tournament. Not saying that there's a huge correlation between the golf courses. It's just kind of just looking at the leaderboards and seeing that it's a lot of the same guys that play well there, play well here.
Yeah, that is very interesting. Scoot through the...
By the way, this tool is the lead-in stats tool at sweetspotdfs.com. We can look at everything, Byron. I think I have strokes. Nope, I don't have strokes gained stats. Just kidding. Strokes gained stats for me, I guess, started in 2017.
2017, yeah. Stuff. It sucks.
Yeah.
But that's kind of why I went to Live, to just see what they were getting up to. I don't even trust half those numbers. There's some weird groupings of results there. But, you can just look at the leaderboard and kind of understand if you're good enough, not good enough. If you watch enough golf.
2016.
Masters champ. When did he win it? He finished third, after winning the Masters.
Was it after or before? I thought Cadillac was before. Back in the day, I thought that was a lead.
Oh yeah, his recent form doesn't even have anything, so it must have been interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mean, there's Scott, Masters champ; Watson, Masters champ; Willett, Masters champ; McIlroy, finally a Masters champ; Mickelson, a Masters champ; then Sergio, Masters champ; DJ down here; Charles Schwartzel. So yeah, you kind of make the argument like the best golfers win the best tournaments.
Yeah,
like the best golfers win Masters, but like we see Bubba up here a couple times. When was it? Yeah, so 2016 he finished second. 2015 he finished third. Again, you get Adam Scott, Louis Oosthuizen. Dude, it's a lot of Masters overlap.
At least from that period of time.
Yeah.
What does I'm actually going to take Sites' comment down quickly, and then we can address that shortly. I want to dive into I just opened Spotify. I'm also not in Sites. I'm not in my study anymore. I'm in the upstairs bedroom now. So I've been kicked out of my study.
Different studio for him.
Different studio. So let's take a look here quickly. I mean, Charles Schwartzel once again played fantastic. Sergio, Masters winner, but doesn't necessarily have the greatest Masters track record. Carlos Ortiz, Bryson DeChambeau, Phil Mickelson, Patrick Reed, John Rahm, Cam Smith. So I do agree. A lot of guys that have played well at the Masters, it seems like that's the case. Louis played well again. Like he loves this golf course. So I think guys that... But Scotty's never... I mean, we've got a younger crop of PGA Tour players, Darbo, that are going to be, that haven't played those kind of rotations. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of interesting to see. But
and of course, when you looked at those leaderboards, not everybody that was a Masters champ or that was inside the top 10 of the Cadillac Championship has ever had success at the Masters. So it was worth noting that it looked like half of the leaderboard, were past Masters champions of each.
What do you need at the Masters? You need you can just pound driver out there and hit your long irons well,
right?
Make your putts, but I guess it's more tee to green than anything at the Masters. But ball striking makes up a lot of tee to green numbers.
It does.
Yes. All right. What else have you got to share with us?
Well, I mean, I just, for the Cadillac Championship, I put in 2016 and just went to the course history button here. So what this does is we can look at the years that these golfers have played the course history. Now, the lead-in stats are whatever year you select. These were their lead-in stats up to that event. And so this is just the field of the Cadillac Championship. And it just looks like just like at the Masters, the golfers that do well at the Masters kind of do well at the Masters every single year. Same thing looks like with the Cadillac Championship. The people who do well at the Cadillac Championship tend to do well every single year at the Cadillac Championship. How does that pertain to this year? Well, it's difficult to say because we haven't seen this golf course in a long time on the PGA Tour.
Filtered by course history there for us.
So this is the cheat sheet, and you'll be able to see all of the results for course history. I mean, I guess we can sort by course history top to bottom, and I'll come down here. So these are the golfers in the field that currently have course history. Obviously, again, 2016 was the last time that a tournament's been played at this golf course, and the last time this tournament has been played, the Cadillac Championship. So let's see, what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 total golfers that have played this tournament before. I mean, like Tommy Fleetwood with the 71st place finish. He's a much different golfer today than he was in 2016. So
yeah, much bigger bitch.
I'm not too concerned there, but I mean, if you look at some of these good results, Gary Woodland has had good results. The Harry Ish, and he's a pretty decent long iron player.
Yeah,
Adam Scott. I mean, this was kind of his jam back then. Who he's obviously much older, so who knows? But interesting to note, Jordan Spieth kind of does okay. It would be worth seeing what his price tag will be on DraftKings. I don't know what his betting odds look like. Not that that's someone that you absolutely want to rush and bet or play or whatever, but
I agree. Jordan Spieth has become one of the more safer plays in golf versus something you want to play in like high volatility situations. Should we guess some prices as well?
Sure. Let me sort by golfer. I need to update my OWGR because Matt Fitzpatrick should be up here.
Yeah, he should.
Anyways, prices.
Do you want to go off of odds?
Yeah, what's Scotty's odds?
Scotty is sitting at a current odds of 3-1, which that's last week
consistent, right?
He was 4-1, I think. So it's definitely shrunk. There's no Xander, no Rory this week.
Oh, that's so interesting.
No Ludwig, all guys that are at the top of the leaderboard that shrink his odds quite significantly.
Yeah. Why is it that Rory's not playing this? The Masters?
I think the problem with Rory is he's like on the celebratory tour again. But it's his second Masters, dude. Like, what the hell are you doing? This is like a perfect golf course for him as well. I don't understand why he's not out here. But we're going to have 3 signature events between 2 majors and not see the guys that finished first and second at the Masters play together in the same signature event.
Crazy.
The whole point of the signature events is to have them playing together, the greatest guys in the world. But no, we're going to have Rory play only one SIG event that is the one that's before a major that Scotty Scheffler never plays, because Scotty won't be playing the week before at Quail Hollow, even though he won at Quail Hollow. So yeah, when Scotty's 2.5 to 1, 3 to 1, he's in that 14.5 range, which I think.
Yeah, he did. I mean, he almost won the RBC Heritage, so that's going to tell DraftKings, oh yeah, hey, he's still a north of $13,000 golfer, but they had him at 13.5 at RBC. I kind of still think he's going to be in the 13K range. I think what we've seen over the last, I don't know how many weeks now, it's that he hasn't won, being a $14,000 price tag, kind of shows like, see, I think DraftKings, despite their odds, I still think that they're trying to allow people to build lineups that are competitive. If you put Scotty Scheffler at $14,000, I don't really think you can build a Scotty Scheffler lineup that's competitive anymore. Like it's too much money.
Fair, but now he's got two second place finishes in a row now. So
And the only way, though, that a Scotty Scheffler lineup can win with him being like that is if you have a $7,000 golfer or a $6,000 golfer, maybe an 8,000 winning the tournament. But if you get a 9K golfer and above winning the tournament, the best that a Scotty Scheffler lineup is going to do in a GPP is probably, I mean, you could still maybe top 10, but you're never going to win a GPP with Scotty being second place or worse and there being a $9,000 golfer or higher winning the event. It's just not going to happen. And I feel like, it's taken some time. It's taken some time for me. I mean, Scotty is one of my favorite golfers, so I'm always going to want to play Scotty. But I also really care about my bankroll, and Scotty Scheffler isn't winning me any money anymore. So it's difficult to make lineups with Scotty and feel confident or even comfortable with it anymore. So if Scotty is 14,000 and above, he's going to have to steamroll his competition in order to pay off that price tag, because I think this is one of those tournaments where the cream rises to the top. I don't really think we're going to get those 6 and 7K golfers finishing inside the top 10 that often, that frequently. Like, you will. It's going to be. That's the other thing too, Byron. Obviously I've been doing the sweet spot process for a while, and that's looking at all the winning lineups and stuff like that, all the successful lineups. When there are only 2 golfers in the 6K range that finish 20th place or better, and you have 46K golfers to choose from, the odds on finding the correct 2 are so low. Like, you literally have to make at least, if you're building 100 lineups, you got to make like 80 Scotty Scheffler lineups with 2 like different combinations of 6K golfers, and you still might not get it right because you still have to choose 7K golfers and whatever. It's been shown over the last couple months that if you go more of a balanced build, that's been way more successful for DFS lineups.
Interesting. I thought you've been like all aboard Scotty Scheffler for a while, and you've changed your tune a little bit, Darbo, which is it's scaring me.
Well, that's because of just results on my end when it comes to building lineups. I've built a lot of really good lineups in the last couple months that have Scotty Scheffler in them. And even if I have 66 making the cut, if I put it in the dollar contest or the $5 contest, that most I'm winning is like in the $5, $10, $8. Like, I'm min cashing there. And in the $1 contest, $3. Like, that's all I'm getting for one lineup of Scotty. So it's been one of the worst stretches of my DFS career. And it's because I'm like, I'm going to be early on Scotty when everybody else is talking like, oh no, it's not good. You pair that up with DraftKings craziness with pricing. It just, all of it together is just not, it's just not been great, man. And I can't help, like, I care about my bankroll, like, I want to make sure I'm being smart with my money. And Scotty Scheffler has not been giving me results that I need.
I honestly think though that he's back now. I mean, this stretch here with this is baby. By the way, we haven't had we did have the Masters preview where we knew Scotty Scheffler was pregnant. So we've done our victory lap. But since his baby's been born, he's finished no worse than second. One of them was a playoff. The other one was to Rory McIlroy at the Masters. Like, this is an insane stretch of golf. I think he's back, and I think the way this golf course fits his profile makes way too much sense. Although I've got Cam Young basically with the same model rating as Scotty Scheffler right now. I am using year-to-date approach play numbers, but Cam Young has been significantly better on approach than Scotty Scheffler. Like, Scotty's approach numbers have been bad, but how have they been? You want to pull up his approach numbers for us at the Masters and RBC Heritage, Darbo?
Yeah.
Because that's been his biggest issue, is figuring it out. By the way, sites, we will before we get to, let's just do this as well. Sorry, I'm jumping all over the place.
That's fine. Yeah, it's taking a while to load right now.
I watched a bit of the live coverage, and I don't think the rough is nearly as penal as the Oakmont rough. It won't be nearly as thick, I don't imagine, this week. I don't think being in it will have you hacking out, but it may not allow you to attack flags. because we are playing on Bermuda grass, right? So the rough is Bermuda as well, Darbo, or is it overseeded? So I think it'll be, if it's pure Bermuda, you don't need it to be that long for it to be penal, because it's super penal itself. The nature of the grass for Bermuda rough allows so much less spin to be imparted on the golf ball with an iron, that you don't get the opportunity to stick it close to these greens that are typically pretty firm. And I think Florida has continued to remain firm, during this stretch of the spring, right? We haven't seen too much rain come through Florida lately. So
I will say the rough to be just nasty for Bermuda needs to be 2 inches or thicker. Like, that's where Bermuda will just be a menace. I imagine they're going to have 2 inches or longer for rough.
Yeah.
It'd be surprising if they had it less than 2 inches.
And again, remember, we saw Scotty Scheffler is going to have 8 approach shots. Granted, 3 of them are from perfect lies on par 3s, but 4 more shots coming from 200 plus. We saw, so the longer the shots in, the more intense it is. 18. Let's see if they've brought out. They don't. Media kit, scorecard. We've got the scorecard out there. They don't have anything that I see would be of value to us. 77:39 is how long it's playing this week.
Wow.
That is so long, dude. It's insane.
Masters is what, 7,600? Around 7,600.
Yeah, I don't see it being much more than that. So yeah,
insane.
What is the Masters? Do they have the scorecard?
Is it like 75.92?
I'm looking it up right now. The Masters scorecard was 75.65. So, but a lot of undulation at the Masters. Florida's typically pretty flat, right? So it's interesting to see. All right, yes, Scotty Scheffler's stuff. Sorry.
All good.
So how do you think it's going to play as difficult as Oakmont because of all the water around the greens and things like that, and the long iron nature of the golf course? Hitting long irons into firm greens with water around them, you're not going to have a lot of birdies, but it's not going to be as gross to watch, I don't think, as Oakmont, which is gross. When I say gross, I mean that in a complimentary way. Whereas a bad shot gets absolutely nuked by the rough, whereas this week it's not going to be that big of a deal unless it's in the water, right? So
gross as in it's going to be tough.
Gross, he hit that full-on pitching wedge only 40 yards out of the rough. It's not going to be like that this week, but a lot more water. Oakmont didn't have much water to penalize the people. They had too many trees there that the people were cutting them down. So in the middle of the night, midnight lumbers doing their thing. Anyway, back to Scotty Scheffler. Approach play.
Yeah, you and I were talking about this before we jumped on the pod about Scotty's game. I had mentioned about I got a request to look up what Scotty's putting numbers were. And upon looking at his putting numbers, I realized I looked at his approach stats, and his approach stats are just what I had looked at, Byron. I didn't say this to you before, is of all the wins that Scotty has ever had, I think there's only one moment. If I go all the way back to the beginning of time, I think there's only one moment where he gained less than 2 strokes approach. And he hasn't really sniffed that much here. I'll just show right away. This year, obviously started the American Express. He only gained 0.42 strokes on approach there.
Yeah.
But if you look, it's just everything is less than 2. We've got some negatives. Sure, there's 3.06 at WM Phoenix Open. He almost came back and won that. 6.68 at the Masters. This is where you're he's back. Which, I don't really. It does seem like he's back. It seems like having that child is
well. Look at the ball
shoulders.
striking numbers, Darbo. Just for the last 2, they are just. If we're just looking at ball striking, because again, he's driving it probably better than he's driving it really well right now, really well.
Yeah, he's hitting the ball far and it's staying pretty straight.
So I think that's also a reason maybe his approach numbers could compared to, is he having a better driving year than he has in prior, because he's been sensational lately. So I don't know, but
Yeah, you kind
it's
of I can hear the argument that you're giving me is usually the argument I give you when it comes
yeah,
to
yeah.
strokes gain stats, where it's like, the approach doesn't have to be bad, or it doesn't
It's just the ball
it doesn't
striking
mean it's
numbers.
bad. If you look at these off the tee stats and they're amazingly good, then it's like, okay, you're right. Like you're doing the argument I always do, which is you got to look at both of those numbers to determine if it's truly bad or not. But here's all of his wins. So I have this filtered out by just wins, and kind of like if I sort this from approach from worst to best, this is the top of the list right here, Byron. 2022, his first win on tour, negative 1.59. Then it was the American Express in 2026, 0.42. And then it's 3 strokes or better all the way down. 3 strokes or better.
Yeah.
And if we're mentioning the whole off the tee stuff, look at his off the tee numbers. It's like 4 strokes or better almost in every single event.
I think my off the tee thing about being better this year is wrong. So we'll just pretend I never said that, because
Here, I was gonna show. I'm gonna sort this back like this, and then I'm gonna get rid of the finishing place. And now we can look at 1.64 approach. Like, again, the approach numbers aren't super great. And again, if we only look at 2026, his off the tee stats aren't technically any better than, I mean, they're not. When we looked at all of his wins, he was, 3 strokes or better off the tee, or 4 strokes or better off the tee in almost every one of those events. Look at his off the tee stats. It's only 4 strokes or better at the 2026 Pebble Beach Pro-Am.
Yeah.
I think
that's only 3 rounds of golf. No, it's 4 rounds.
Yeah. What we were talking about is his putting has been like, you said before we on the stream, you said his putting's been saving him. And then I was like, yeah, but this is golf. Like, it's just, you can get the ball in the hole. Well, if your approach is bad, your putting numbers will always get better if you have good results. Like, 22, 24, not super great results there, but everything's top 12. So we'd say those are.
How I'm looking at Scotty is literally just RBC Heritage Masters now.
Yeah, that's fair.
New child, new Scotty. That's just basically a totally contextual clue in amidst the data that I think we've seen since the second seconds. I mean, it's been too good. And I think that 6.7 that he gained on approach, I mean, he gained what? 10.25 ball striking at the Masters. That is like really nice. And he followed it up with 4.5 again at RBC. So it's like, I think we can expect him to have a really good week this week. I think if we take a look at his strokes gained approach numbers, he's not the greatest from 200 and out, though, because he's not grading out the greatest for me on approach this week at this golf course with those 7 shots coming from so far away. I'm pulling it up quickly. I'm gonna.
So you're saying his approach game from over 200 yards isn't good
this year? Yeah.
Okay. But but overall, it's probably good.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's actually kind of funny because I'm pulling. He has his numbers for just year to date, and this is prior RBC Heritage. I'll get that in this year, but I filtered by worst to best, and Scotty Scheffler's like at the top of the list if you switch it upside down. Ooh, it's kind of crazy to think about. He's been really good actually from 150 to 200, where we're going to see a decent amount of shots from as well.
This is just 2026, by the way, or
2026 year to date minus RBC Heritage. So he didn't have his greatest approach week at RBC Heritage, so I doubt it like influences much of this anyway. Again, wedges. This is this year with everybody. I've got it filtered on guys just playing this week. If you take it out, like it'll include guys. There's 365 people with data, So Scotty's finding himself at 338th in Data Golf's like entire sample size, which is not good, So it's been interesting on approach for Scotty.
what are the rankings based off of? Approach stats, like stroke gain stats, I should say?
Yeah, he has
Or
strokes gained from 200 plus, and then he has green regulation
I
rates
see,
from
I see, I see,
200
I see, I
plus,
see,
which I think are the two most important for me. That's how I use them to generate the micro model. How close are how many strokes are you gaining when you're hitting the green or whatever,
Yeah.
hitting an iron, and he hits a lot more greens at least compared to who's in this field, but he's still losing a ton of strokes. So
I'd be interested.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to see like how many qualifying shots he has versus and then what he did. Like if it's only like 4 shots and he's 338th place.
Per shots, he has 200 over 200. It was 74 shots
74
this year
total.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's a decent amount. I wouldn't imagine it changes that much if I throw in heritage either. So yeah,
And
it's interesting to note.
yeah, that's not great to see 338. And the comment that I was just gonna make in my head, I kind of corrected myself by saying that, but it's like, these are rankings, and if we're looking at just stroke chain stats, he could have from 200 yards, he might be break even, and 100th place or the 100th person that's ranked, if Scotty's at 0.00 strokes gained from 200 plus, 100th rank might be plus 0.14, and it's pretty negligible, the difference between those numbers. But again, being the number 1 golfer in the world and being 338th place, like that's just not, if he was like 150, I think my argument that I just made there is a bit more palatable versus 150.
Well, you can see exactly what he's doing. He's strokes gained. He's losing 5/100th of a stroke on every approach shot, which isn't a lot, but
which means he's pretty average when it comes to PGA Tour performance. That's average. 0 would be average.
Yeah, but in this field, there's a lot. It's a really good field, So like you're going to be having a lot of guys. I mean, if you take a look at some of these numbers from far away, it's if Fitz was in this field, he would be insane. He's gaining like ludicrous amounts. Aldrich Porchida, buddy, it's Aldrich week again at Durrell. Remember, lack of around the green stuff anyway, but
I'm actually gonna are we okay? So Genesis made sense because Riviera doesn't have a lot of water. The Players, which seemed like another course that he was going to be good at, Aldrich we're talking about.
Good at the Players?
Huh?
No, he wouldn't be good. I wouldn't expect him to play well. The Bay Hill at Arnold Palmer. Maybe.
Oh, okay, but when there was water,
not good.
He was terrible, and there's a lot of water on this golf course. So
where did he just play nicely? He was playing solid at RBC Heritage where there's lots of water as well. So
club down course though.
But still keeping his ball in under control. So the fact that Aldrich these are all the guys that are solid inside the top 30 through all of golf in 2026 from 200 plus out of the fairway. Chandler Blanchet is a really good long iron player, apparently, in a very small sample size. Doesn't have enough strokes gain numbers from 100 to 150, but he's got enough from 200 plus. So I don't know what the hell that's about, but we'll see. Smotherman going to make a lot of sense this week. It's going to be very popular. Hideki is a very good option in this. He's very, very good from there. Siwoo's solid from 200 plus. Minwoo Lee, it's actually one of his best ranges with the long irons. Jordan Smith, Sepp Straka. Good numbers from those ranges too. Ryan Gerard, Nikolai, Justin Rose, actually pretty solid from that range too. So I think these guys that have distance, Darbo, Aldrich, Fox. Is Smotherman long? I can't remember. Hideki's...
he's a good ball striker though.
I would say they're like really middle of the pack distance-wise, these two. Same with Siwoo, same with Sepp, same with Jordan Smith. Is he distance-wise? I don't know. But I know that Minwoo Lee has definitely got distance off the tee, and so does Nikolai. So these are some guys that are good with the long irons that have tons of distance. I don't know. I guess we can go look and see what distance these guys all have. These are the longest hitters in the field. Knapp, Woodland. By the way, Gary Woodland is 78-1 to win this tournament. 62-1 without Scotty Scheffler.
Hey, we just saw he's got good course history.
Good course history, perfect course fit as well. I mean, if you take a look at what he does the worst, it's chipping.
Mm-hmm.
Remember how much we saw those guys hemorrhaging around the greens at Dural? You know, I think this is a perfect situation for Gary. Nikolai makes a lot of sense at this golf course as well. Minwoo Lee, we just saw him. RIP Michael Thorbjornsson. That should now be Alex Fitzpatrick's name. Play better or have a world number 3 as your brother.
Yeah.
So fun stuff there. Sam Burns up next. Solid stuff. He's also pretty bad around the greens. This could be a sneaky good spot for Sam Burns.
Yeah,
actually.
I agree. I was running. I pulled up my stroke gain calculator, which sneaky thing is you can access this on my website. I haven't really advertised it because it is a Google sheet, and I learned this the hard way. If someone comes in here and starts messing with it, instead of going up and creating your own, because I know you've said that before, that the people can do that, which they absolutely can go and make a copy of it. But if you go in here and you start updating things, it's gonna mess everything up for everyone else, which whatever.
So go in there now and do that for us. So
yeah. Go in there right now.
Give Garbo the enemy that he's looking to fight with.
Oh yeah, true. But your top guy for 200-yard approach shots, 200 plus, I'm just using 200, was gaining 0.17 strokes. I saw on your screen, 0.17.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 36 feet away from 200 yards in the middle of the fairway. So
200 plus. So probably what, an average of
well, I'm just using
225
200 to make the numbers easy. I mean, I could also go 220, I suppose, and find those numbers. But I found 200 to make this quick. So 200. I'm just showing you this. This is the shortest distance you can have that qualifies in that bucket. So to get to 0.17 on average, someone has to hit within 36 feet. Now, if I pull up my chart and I show what 36 feet is, the golfers are expected to 2-putt from there, like on average.
On average, literally
2.033
33 feet is the middle ground for 2 putts.
So to make a 1-putt would be
getting a full stroke
less than 1%, basically.
Yeah.
Or I think, it's about 1%. So, anyways, when we are looking at 200 plus, the things we got to worry about from 200 plus are penalty strokes most of the time, because that's a long distance to try to control on the green.
Mm-hmm.
But if there's nothing to worry about with penalty strokes, to me, and I understand the statistical side of things, 36 feet versus 60 feet is kind of where you get Scotty. Scotty was 0.05, but I go from 60 to 90 feet, and I don't have anything in between because it's based off of this chart right here. Oh, wait. No, it's based off this chart. But either way, it goes from 60 to 90. I don't have anything in between.
Yeah.
So we can assume this is like 65 feet, maybe 70 feet. That'll get this to where Scotty's numbers are. Byron, I'm just going to say it. Everyone's going to be 2-putting and especially someone as good as Scotty. So I don't think there's a huge advantage of those guys that are ranked number 1 from 200 plus out versus Scotty at his where he ends up his average proximity.
Well, the average proximity is for Aldrich 5 feet and what was it, 32? So we need 60.
That was the difference.
55 feet. I think I do agree with you. Like, the proximity might not directly correlate since we've come through Florida golf already.
Mm-hmm.
If you're hitting balls in the water, you could be like that ball's landing 10 feet from the flag, but it's in the water.
True.
So,
True.
Right. So I do agree with you having come through that. So maybe we need to find some poor shot avoidance metrics.
Yeah.
Kind of
thing.
Well,
that's what I was just going to mention. It was like, okay, Scotty might be really bad with his irons like that, but who do we trust more from 200 yards away, Aldrich Potgieter or Scotty Scheffler to not hit the water on a hole?
You can't. What are you fucking doing comparing the two? Like,
because
because of
that's
the metrics.
Yes.
Well, yeah. I think I trust Aldrich to hit it closer more often. Maybe
Sure.
and also he putted like complete disaster. Aldrich at Bay Hill couldn't figure out the greens at all. It was mainly his biggest issue, along with some really bad iron play. I'm pulling up poor shot avoidance from 200 plus for us.
I'm just pointing out the nuances of these stats and their rankings.
Well, yeah, let's take a look because I've got the poor shot avoidance for us this year.
Okay. Make sure you share your screen.
Thank you. They're not looking great because this is just it's usually the hidden stuff that I have for us. But here is poor shot avoidance rate. So how often are you losing half a stroke on the field? Every time you hit the golf ball, kind of thing. The best in the field this year, Smotherman, he's had what? What is the counter here? He has the green regulation. He has the poor shot avoidance. I'm looking for the counter. 53 approach shots from 200 plus.
Okay.
And he's not hit one where he's lost over half a stroke on the field.
Okay.
So these are all guys with ones, haven't hit a shot on approach from 200 plus that has lost them over half a stroke. So there you have them. Some of them like Matt Wallace has only had 34 shots. Others better. Scotty Scheffler is all the way. Where the hell is he? Keep scrolling. Where the hell is Scotty Scheffler's name? Is Scott. I can just do E. There he is, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, Scotty, 5% of the time is losing half a shot or more, on approach shots. So he's actually kind of up there. Where's Aldrich? Only 2% of the time, statistically speaking. It's only been 50 shots. So that's just kind of the situation we're dealing with here with Aldrich. I don't know. I do think the price points for Aldrich at this situation, he's like 175 to 1 to win this tournament. I'd probably be betting the top 5 as well on him again this week.
Doing the math there with Scotty doing the 5%.
Yes.
Is in a tournament of 72 holes, about 4 shots where he'd be losing 0.5 strokes or worse.
Or worse. And at this course, or worse is like 1.5 strokes because you're hitting it in the water. I agree. And like I just said, I don't attribute these approach numbers to the current Scotty Scheffler. I'm assuming since he's gained in the last 2 starts on approach that he's hitting a lot better shots because baby's popped out now. Things are good to go. Maybe there were complications with this child. I don't know. So
I do remember earlier in the year, Scotty's misses. He was missing left with his irons to go along with his driver. You remember that? Like at WM Phoenix Open, the guy would just lose it way left. It was awful. So yeah, I agree with you. He's definitely better today than he was earlier in the year. It's a long Scotty segment.
Shocker. Absolutely.
Yeah, right.
He's important to talk about, like I think that's the thing though.
100% agree, man. 100%, especially at his price point. Like that was kind of where we started with this conversation. Is like, do we see him going to be in the $14,000 range? I sure hope not. I don't, even with his improved play, I still don't think 14,000 is. And I have changed my tune now that I think about this. Is like I was like, 14,000 is such a good number for Scotty, and it's like, well, not when he's not winning. Like,
not when he's not winning. No.
Well, and also I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that the 9K and above golfers have been stepping up.
Yeah, they've been playing great.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cam Young has been in that range. You know? What is Cam Young's? Yeah, he was 9.8 at RBC Heritage. Didn't play the greatest there. unfortunately. But I think this golf course makes so much sense for him because if you take a look at Cam's off the tee numbers, it's insane. He's like one of the best in the field for sure. These are all guys that didn't play RBC Heritage, by the way. Sorry. So Cameron Young, strokes getting off the tees, like this is a power rating. He's at a 2. He's like leading Scotty Scheffler by over like half a power rating point, which is insane to think about, but his approach play is fine. It's not like nearly as elite as Smotherman and Siwoo, et cetera, in that department. But Cam, when we talking about total ball striking, he's going to be doing it off the tee with insane distance, so lots to like there from Cameron Young. He's going to be 15-1 in the betting markets at DraftKings right now, which would probably place him in the 10K range. Has there been a 10K guy every time Scotty Scheffler's been 14?
Mm-hmm. I actually did this kind of during the Zurich. I was looking at price points just randomly, I guess. When Scotty's 14,000, you're gonna get like Tommy Fleet will be 10,000 because he's always kind of has been 10,000. Morikawa's kind of been in and out of the 10,000 range when Scotty's like 14,000. But you tend to only get 1 or 2 guys in the 10K range when Scotty is 14,000. Compared to old school DraftKings, you'd have anywhere between 4 to 6 golfers in the 10K range. And that's why I think the 9K range has been much more improved with success, is because those 10K golfers are going down to the 9K range. And I think that's essentially your top 10, or you usually have 4 10K golfers and about 7 9K, 6 to, so it's like 10. You get your top 10 golfers right here on the leaderboard for odds, and you can almost anticipate at least 30% of them are going to finish inside the top 5. That's kind of how it always works. Okay, well, which 2 other golfers outside of Scotty are those going to be? If the price tag is $9,000, guess what? It's like those lineups, I think, just are always going to have a higher success rate than a Scotty Scheffler led lineup. That's where I think DraftKings has an issue right now. Is 14,000 is great, but add more 10K golfers. Don't drop everyone down to the 9K range.
Yeah. It's
because then that's where we have to make decisions. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with you, dude. But I think I'm willing to take Scotty Scheffler this week. I think those 2 finishes are just too good. Some other guys with top 10, top 5 rates that are through the roof. Yeah. Tommy Fleetwood, 40% top 5 rate over the last 12 months across the world. He has got 1 top 5, I think, at Pebble Beach this year. So these are I like having these next to each other because it kind of helps you see, the last 12 months versus the last 10 weeks on the PGA Tour. You can see Tommy Fleetwood's been pretty poor when it comes to that. His best recent finish in the last 5 weeks is in 8th place. Not good. Cameron Young, winner. He's inside the top 5 once every 3 starts. And Cameron Young gets us pretty close to that in odds, plus 265. So
it's also worth noting Cam Young played well at the Masters this year. And we did that kind of correlation between Masters and
And Cam Young, solid on approach, solid with the putter. His biggest weakness, the only spot that he kind of loses, is around the green. Do we need to pull up 2025 again to show us that like a million guys at the top of the leaderboard didn't gain any strokes around the green? I think I'm going to be betting Cam Young, man, at 15 to 1.
Seems good, man. Seems good.
I think it makes too much sense, in my opinion. But there's another world where I'm actually just considering betting him at 12 to 1 in the without market, because I think Scotty Scheffler, if we think he's back, he's finished second now 2 times in a row, Darbo. At what point does he win one of those, I looked up Scotty Scheffler's playoff record. He's 50%. I think he's lost 3-1-3 all time, including KFT. So I think he's 2-2 on the PGA Tour, which was interesting. I was curious to see if he was pretty poor in playoffs because of his like match play record type situation. If he's just a guy against the field where he's just doing his own thing versus having to beat the man in front of him. but it seems like 50% of the time he gets that done, unless it's a Ryder Cup, and it's like 25% of the time for the world number one. But Cameron Young, this golf course makes way too much sense, dude.
I like Cam Young this week.
Okay.
He also has he's kind of upgraded his game. It's kind of hard not to think of him as like a, top 3 golfer in the world, top 4 golfer in the world. I mean, Matt Fitzpatrick obviously.
How would you rank 3, 4, and 5 right now?
You putting Scotty and Rory number 1 and 2? Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, I already know the OWGR says Matt Fitzpatrick's number 3.
How would you?
I think it would most. I think Cam Young is 3rd for me. Honestly, I think Cam Young's 3rd for me. And I mean, it's hard to. I don't want to put Matt Fitzpatrick up there, and I don't know why. I don't know for what reason I feel that way. But I would say I'll put Matt at 5th, and then who would be my 4th guy? Is that just
you're just putting Matt behind the random ghost option?
I know he has to be up there. I don't. I'm not gonna. Okay, I'll put him 4th. I'll put him 4th.
I think those are the 2 guys outside of the world number 1 and 2, Scotty and Rory. They've won like half the tournaments that have been played outside of the Masters, in the last little while. So that to me is the 2 guys that make the most sense, in my opinion. Someone that's not winning tournaments, and it's Jake Knapp. I think Jake Knapp is really interesting because he's like, if you filter by top 10 rates, he's like way up there. Jake Knapp, 40% of the time. But if you filter by top 5 rates, he drops down a little bit. He's this year in particular has not had a top 5. I don't think this season, but he's finished inside the top 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think he played Waste Management and a couple more events before this. Jake Knapp. So, like, if you go over here, you can find it. It's a horrible looking page, but I just care about the more recent stuff. But it is available to you guys. It's like it goes all the way to like,
wow,
a million years. I need to, it's just mainly I just paste the whole thing in because it's just here. But you can, like Waste Management, I guess we can filter by who played the best at the Waste Management. And I think Jake, did he take it off? I think no, didn't. 8th Waste Management. So he's been playing great, dude. I think it's just the lack of upside for someone playing as well as he has been. To not have as many top 5s as he should have is it's lacking.
Yeah. I don't know if he'd be my 5th guy, if we're doing that order thing.
No.
But he's a guy I like. Absolutely.
I mean, where would we be 5th? Is it Ludwig?
No, I think it's Fleetwood.
What? Based off of like this year?
No, not based off of this year. I mean, if we're doing
Just
this year, it's Bridgman. It's Jacob Bridgman.
Fair, I guess. Yeah, that should be ahead of Knapp for sure. As number, he is the number 5 guy then for this year for sure.
Yeah.
What about Gotterup as well? But he also hasn't won a big.
You know what? Yeah, I could even make the argument Gotterup should be that guy, number 5. He should probably be number 5, and Bridgman would be number 6.
Guys playing this week. Is Gotterup not in this field?
I'm not sure.
Oh, no, this is recent finishes. So it's been a while since Gotterup. Yari is over here with a 6th place as his most recent finish. Doesn't have a win in the last 10 weeks. All right. I'm losing track. What were we doing? Like, where are we going?
We were going down the odds board. We were kind of talking about salaries for a while, like who else do we think might be in the 10K range, and then we kind of like I think we should talk about Colin Morikawa next. That's for certain.
You know what I noticed immediately about this odds board, Darbo? If you're just thinking about distance, Scotty and Cam Young, tier of their own. Then elite distance. I'll click the first guy I see that's got like Sam Burns has got distance.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say he's up there, but is he like? Where is Sam Burns distance wise? I thought I had this figured out earlier. Why does it keep doing it the other way around? Okay. What the hell's going on here? What just happened? Just broke on me. Okay, we'll just eject. Just eject. Back to the odds board. My bad. Patrick Cantley, sneaky distance. I guess. Sneaky distance, Patrick Cantley, Sam Burns.
Yeah.
Hideki is not necessarily the longest. Victor is not the longest. Maverick isn't the longest.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Rose isn't the longest. Adam Scott could be up there. Chris Gotterup could be up there when it comes to distance. Knapp, yes. Minwoo Lee, yes. There's not like a ton of like heavy hitting guys. Nikolai, Kurt Kitayama. These are all guys that I think have got like lots of distance.
Mm-hmm.
But I've only clicked like 5 guys, and we're already down to names like Keegan Bradley, Justin Thomas, Harry Hall, these kind of guys. So I think there's going to be some chalk this week floating around the guys that nuke it off the tee.
Okay.
So my distance stuff.
I got you to transition to that by talking about Colin Morikawa.
Yes.
Are we like his last 2 finishes? This is a big boy golf course, so he's definitely going to want to. What do we do with him? Because RBC he got 4th, and that's not a golf course where you have to overpower anything. But he finished 7th with a worse back than he did 4th at RBC. So what do we do with Morikawa this week?
Colin Morikawa is one of these guys that's he's 5th in projected ball striking this week at this golf course.
5th?
5th.
Then you play him.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he has the ball striking filtered off the micro model for this golf course, right? So based off of the approach numbers they should have from different proximities, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Ball striking wise at Doral, Austin Smotherman, Siwoo Kim, Cameron Young, Daniel Berger, Colin Morikawa. So wow. I'm not gonna reasons to play Colin Morikawa, the ball striking. Mm-hmm. Reasons why I typically wouldn't have is the off the tee distance, which is very neutral for him. But he's also picked up a bit of pop this year. Like he hits it further than Jesus. Like he's only 4 yards shorter than Cam Young in general, I think, based off of this.
We said the Masters distance was like 7,600 yards, 7,650 something or whatever. And this one is 7,700 yards. Is the extra 100 yards really going to matter off the tee for Colin Morikawa? I guess I would say yes to some extent because you only have 14 qualifying holes, but really any little extra distance makes it tough. Like if you even divide 14 by 100, I mean, you get 7 extra yards kind of, and that's just very, very basic general math. So 7 yards off the tee that's like a half of a club, and it's not going to just be it's not going to be evenly distributed. It's going to be like chunked. Like you'll have maybe 4 or 5 holes where it's going to be 20 extra yards. And in that scenario, Colin Morikawa hitting a 4-iron or 5-iron or 3-iron instead of a 7-iron, like that's big deal. As in like proximity to try to get the ball closer.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. Like I said, at the Masters, his back was worse, and he was still able to put a very solid performance together.
Yeah. And the thing with him, Dabo, from a mental perspective, we have this guy that's gone from being highly scrutinized for any action he does on the golf course after dodging the media at the API of 2025 to now leaving the players with a back injury that's kind of given him a get out of jail free card, in my opinion, with regards to our perspective, our expectations of Colin Morikawa, because he hit a shot at RBC Heritage that was like up against the lip of the bunker. He was like kind of, and hit the shot and then like fell backwards like any normal athlete would do, completely fine, and no one would blink an eye. But because of the back injury, Frank Narbolo's out here saying, you've got to imagine he was thinking about his ailing back on that shot, or whoever the commentator was, right? So I think the fact that he's walking around with this like lingering 2% injury that doesn't really even exist, but he's still pretending like it does, gives him this opportunity to kind of play with house money, because if he plays badly, he can just blame the back. But where before he had no excuses to play poorly, which I think changed his expectations of how he could play. And he's been playing fine with this ailing back, despite not having played since the Players. He teed it up for the first time at the Masters. So in those two starts, it's been great.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it's fully endorsing him this week for me. The putter started to find its groove as well. So I think he's one of the guys that I'm not going to take away ball striking because of his distance. He has the distance guys. I don't know what the hell's going on with the other one. He has the top guys in distance this week. Ball strikers that Sam Burns, not necessarily ball striking the greatest. He's going to be doing it with the putter this week. But again, we've seen putters succeed here. Other guys, Taylor Pendrith, not necessarily the greatest approach player, but he's going to be doing it with off the tee numbers for sure. Ricky Castillo, one of the longer drivers in the field that's going to be losing on approach as well. If Scotty Scheffler loses on approach again as well too. So kind of jumping around there, but back to screwing down the odds boards with Colin. What are your thoughts?
Well, I don't bet, but just if I was a bettor, I would. Are those? That seems like good odds, man, for like a win, 21-1.
Well, let's stick in the lane that you're in with DFS wise. This is going to be. He's either going to be 10K flat or like $9,800. He might be the first guy.
If you were to say his price tag is going to be 98, I mean, I'm going to jam him into a lot of lineups.
Yeah, I mean, or what, 10-2, 10-4 still.
I don't personally like him or the thought of him being 10K and above. Like, I don't know why, Byron. I mean, I could do a breakdown to make myself feel better about it. But for whatever reason, seeing him with a 5-digit price tag just doesn't seem like good value. Or like,
well, it's new because it's something that we haven't seen him deserve in a while.
Yeah, he was 10K. I mean, he was 98 at RBC, right? I think he was 10K before that.
He was 93 since the back injury. He's been hit pretty hard with some discounts, and he's also been priced like 30 something to 1.
Okay.
In those weeks, I think typically we've seen guys that are in the 20 to 1 range kind of find themselves 9K or low 10s. I think a 21 to 1 is like a 10-2 kind of option. A 28 to 1 is probably like a 9, 9-5, depending. It also depends who's around them, all of that stuff. But
the last time we did this, you were pretty spot on when it came to odds and salaries. You were pretty spot on because I was like, no, I want to say Tommy's going to be 10K. And when you and I did this not too long ago, and I picked a golfer that's 4th or 5th on the board, and I'm like, nah, he's going to be a 10K. You're like, I don't think so. I think he's going to be a 9K based off of these odds. And sure enough, he was a 9K golfer. So I'm with you. I get. So is Cam Young the only guy going to be a 10K golfer then? Is that kind of how this is shaking up to be outside of Scheffler being 14?
Yeah, I think if Scotty finds himself like 14.5, especially with no Rory, anytime Scotty's played, it's been a Rory or a Xander or a
No
Ludwig.
Rory at RBC, but yeah, Xander was there. Yeah.
Right. But Scotty finished 24th, 22nd, and 2nd, leading into the RBC.
Yeah.
Now he's finished 24th, 22nd, 2nd, and 2nd.
Mhm.
And now there's no Rory, and there's no Xander, and there's no Ludwig.
True.
And no Matt Fitzpatrick, man. So like I think that just creates a massive gap between who is beneath him. And then the moment we're getting into I think we'll see Cam Young in the 10s and then the other guys in the 9s, potentially.
You're actually making, after you say all those things, you're really making me feel like this is a Scotty week, like just easy.
It makes too much sense.
It's too many golfers gone. Too
many golfers gone. The course fit makes way too much sense for him, given how good of a golfer he is when it comes to overall performance and just ball striking a golf course to death. So, yeah, like for me, I'll play Colin because of the ball striking numbers. If we're just taking a look at that, wherever we are. Like kind of just eyeing out some other guys, like Tommy Fleetwood's ball striking numbers are pretty damn good, but I don't think he's, the putter's been pretty lacking. But you typically get this with ball strikers, right? All of the best ball strikers are like struggling to make putts. So that's just how it goes. But Colin is there. Tommy, to me, is just not playing well enough right now. I just don't think he's going to dominate this golf course. I want someone with a bit more juice than Tommy Fleetwood. Yeah. Russell Henley's also another guy that's kind of like got the ball striking situation dialed in at this golf course, but he's only hitting it on average like way lower than everyone else.
Yeah, I think that's decent for him because I think the API is like 7,600 yards and he's won that. And like this year, I think he finished 11th or something like that.
Yeah, so, he's sneaky from far away on approach is old Russell Henley.
Yeah.
Really
if he's going to be that lower 9 or even the mid 9s price tag like he just was at the Heritage, I think that's okay. I mean, let's be real. Like for DFS, it's a Scotty plus maybe an 8K, but mostly 7Ks and 6Ks, and it's just going to come down to what are those pivotal prices for golfers in the 8 and the 9K range? Because, I mean, I was kind of looking. Chris Goddard looks so good, like for a course fit at this golf course. The ability to hit that low stinger, and there's not going to be really a lot of trees that are going to affect his driver, so he can hit that big loopy fade that he wants. He can do anything he wants out here. And so, like, you put the two 9Ks to go together. Well, if Jake Knapp's like in the 8K range, it's like, actually, how does 8K range work with odds? Where do you normally see the 8K range starting at?
Well, I think it doesn't really matter because the 8K range starts with what, like roughly the 11th guy, right? Like you've mentioned. Yep. So, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, mid 30s now. Basically, once the if we had Rory, Matt Fitzpatrick, and Ludwig, they are all probably 20 to 1 or shorter.
Yeah, Rory would be maybe 8 to 1.
Yeah. Scotty would probably be sitting 4.5 to 1, maybe.
Okay.
Because of all of those guys. And then Cam Young would be probably 16 to 1
to 18. Yeah.
18 to 1. So maybe I actually lie about the 20s. A couple of them might be around the 20 range because of the addition of them. But I think we're going to see quite a quick drop off in overall talent, given those are really guys that have been finishing inside the top 5 a lot, this year. And they're not going to be playing this week. So to me, like Tommy Fleetwood is someone I'm not that interested in this week. I think Russell Henley's interesting. I don't think I'm in on Patrick Cantley at 28 to 1.
He seems sneaky. Like I kind of like the idea of Cantley.
I'm glad the model's 23rd on him. Look at this though. He's not giving you any top 5s like at all. Like he's just a 10% top 5 rate. It's really, really bad.
To me, the Masters finish was the most surprising finish. Like Valspar wasn't a very deep field, so I didn't really think that was that big of a deal. It's a golf course he normally plays well at. Heritage is a golf course he usually plays well at. So that 8th place finish, if we're we're being nitpicky here, it would have been better to see him like top 5.
That 8th place finish at Heritage translates to like a 15th place finish at Doral.
I agree.
Kind of thing. And I think Cantley at $9,200, he won't be 20% owned like he was at Heritage. He'll be.
Do we think he might be like 8,800 or no? Never mind. That's 9K range. That's 9K range.
Who's the first 8K option? Well, I got
maybe Hovland 33 to 1. I think
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. This makes like a perfect. Maybe even Siwoo. I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. What was Siwoo last week? 8,900 at Harbour Town. So Siwoo's probably going to be. I think you're right. Victor Hovland makes a lot of sense as the first 8K guy. He's been like all over the fucking dude. He can't put 4 rounds of golf together right now.
No, but when it comes to DFS, he's a birdie maker. Like I love playing him in DFS because he birdies and bogeys. That's his ship right there. Birdies and bogeys. I like me some Hovland in DFS.
So these are the names that this is our second click in a Scotty Scheffler lineup. Is this range?
Well,
and this is like, what do you think Scotty comes in at? 14? What?
Oh man, dude, I don't know. I hope I want to put something out in the ether to make sure it's less than, like I think he's gonna. Oh, dude, he's gonna be somewhere between 13.8 and 14.2. That's my guess. 13.8, 14.2. If he's over 14.2, huh?
So 14.1. I don't know, man.
Okay. Yeah.
I think he's going to be back to that 14.3, 14.5 range. Gross. I know. So I think even anyone in the 30s is almost unclickable for him because that's going to be like upper 8,500 and above. I think if we're looking for Scotty Scheffler options, they're going to be at 40 to 1 and shorter or longer.
So past Scotty lineups when he's 14,500 or just anytime he's 14,000, the only time there's been an 8K golfer that's been with him in a successful lineup has been here. I'll show you. We can go through it.
Pull it up.
So if I do this historic salary builds tool at sweetspotdfs.com and you go into fantasy stats right here, highest price golfer, this little section down here, bump that up to 4. Let's just do 13.8. 13.8. And this is looking at the 3 lineups that I keep track of: GPP winner, optimal, sweet spot optimal. And I don't know if you saw that, Byron, but this went from, well, you didn't see the number, but this number here was 1,100. I think it was actually just a little under 1,200. So now it shrinks to 9 total records. And we're going to select all and take out the Tour Championship because that's just nonsense. We don't need to look at that. So we get rid of 1. And so there's interesting ones here. 10, 9, 2 7s, 2 6s. Now, this is probably because of the 5K range, but what we can do is go Open Championship in 2025, go to this other tool I have called the Pass Optimal and GPP winning lineups. 2025, the Open. I'll go back to that page. What one were we looking at? The Sweet Spot Optimal. So you click on the Sweet Spot Optimal, and this is what you can, like 14,200. Actually, you could pair up a $9,700 golfer, but like look at the rest of the salary price tags. We had a 5K range. You're not going to have these 3 6Ks. Wyndham Clark being in the 6K range, like, yeah, he hasn't been playing super great since his U.S. Open, but he's never really been known as a 6K golfer. Same goes with English, and yeah, got her up probably last year. Actually, no, this was after his Genesis Scottish Open win. So
yeah,
like that's all super cheap. So you're not going to be able to build a lineup like this unless DraftKings brings back the 5K range, which I don't think they're going to.
Not this week.
But another 10-9. What is this? Okay, the U.S. Open GPP winner. So we'll click out of that and go U.S. Open.
I hate the periods between the U.S.
That's my choice too, by the way.
Ugh.
I could change that. But here you go, 8,500. And then you have 3 guys in the 6K range. Again, this is what I was talking about earlier in this podcast. It's like you got to have 6K golfers that can win an event for Scotty to not win and be in the $14,000 range.
Yeah.
And this was the GPP winner. This is the one that made millions of dollars to some guy, or $1 million, I should say, $1 million. But those are the only 10 nines. If we go into 10 eights, so like 10 8, 2 7s, 2 6s, we've got a few. The American Express, all of them. So let's just take a look there.
I think that's a good situation to look at.
So here's your GPP, and this one didn't have Scotty in it for the GPP winner.
Yeah.
But if we go to optimal, that also didn't. Did Sweet Spot optimal? Okay, so none of them. Oh, I'm looking at 2025. We want to look at 2026. Sorry.
There we go. Okay.
Here's your GPP winner. This is what I was going to mention. The only times that I really see a successful Scotty Scheffler lineup with an 8K golfer, with a traditional salary, no 5Ks. You're not having JJ Spawn at $6,700. You're not having good golfers in the 6K range, but a traditional thing is like almost 8K flat. So 8,100.
Yeah. It's almost 5-7K guys.
Yes, yeah, and you still probably want to sprinkle in a 6K golfer,
Sorry,
or 2,
3 7K guys and 2 6s, kind of thing.
And then one last one I wanted to look at is the 10-8-8. I'm not quite sure. Okay, so that was the GPP winner. We could have stayed there for the Open.
Yeah.
So it's just for me, it's difficult, and that's again There's a 5. This one had a 5K range, but okay. These are with the what's the word I'm looking at? Converted salaries that I call converted salaries because how this shook out with the 5K range is everything dropped, so I had to convert the prices to be the traditional salaries. But here you go, 14.2 to 79, 78, and 3 6s. Like So when you're looking at that salary board and you're like, this is where we can start building Scotty lineups, it really depends on what, I don't think DraftKings is going to do a 5K range. So with that being said, I don't think that's where you can start your lineups with Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, AJ asking, so you saying your average DFS player will skip the 9 and 8K range? I don't think so. I think if Scotty's 14 something, we don't get him more than like 25, 30% owned. So there's like 70% of the field is still going to be playing Cam Young 10-4, and then clicking Sam Burns 9-5, 9-3, whatever. Like Siwoo Kim 9-1.
Here's Scotty's ownership for this whole year. It's never been more than 27%.
Yeah, so it doesn't ever get into the 30s even because it's just too difficult. There's just too many other nice names to click that people can't go over nuts on him.
And if we looked at every GPP winning lineup, this is also the wonderful thing about this tool over here, is if we just click GPP winner, and we look at salary used, if I were to drill to make this minimal, I'm going to go 2018 to 2026. Sorry. We just do this. Maybe not 2018. Okay. So that GPP winner is crazy, Byron. I wasn't even anticipating seeing something that left $2,000 on the table, but there's 317 lineups you can see that we're looking at.
Let me get this
out of the 317. We could count probably to 20, I guess. Here, I got a better way to do this. Salary used. Let's leave some money on the table. Let's go 49.5. That's 39 lineups.
10%.
That leave less. Yeah, 10% of all GPP winners leave more than $500 on the table, meaning 90% of GPP winning lineups use 49.5 and above.
Yeah.
So, or 49.6 and above. which means if we are only seeing 27% Scotty Scheffler ownership, 70% of our of people are going to be starting at a different price point, which if people are using all the salary, sorry, you can't skip the 9 in the 8K range if that's the case, because the only way to use up the salary is to grab 9 and 8K golfers. So the average DFS player will not skip the 9 and 8K range. Actually, the average DFS golfer is going to be playing a lot of the 9 and 8K range.
I think Cam Young is going to come in at 30 something.
At like $10,000, 10-2, 10-4.
10-2, 10-4. And he'll be what people click, and then a 9 guy, you know, like 10, 9, 8, 7, 7, 6, baby. You know, I think that's exactly how that goes. You can't say that with Scotty. 10, 7, 7, 6, 6. That's like what you got to be thinking when you're building with Scotty Scheffler. So
I agree.
No cut this week. It's not a invitational. It's the Cadillac Championship. So there's 70 guys playing for 72 holes. Guaranteed.
I just want to put something out there just to say, okay, if we skip the 9, let's say this is what Cam Young's price tag is going to be right here, 10,500. If you were to go with Cam Young and you just select the top priced 7K golfers, that is the only way that you're going to get 49.6. Like if you grab 5 7K golfers, the only way that you're going to spend that 49.6 and above is selecting 5 of the highest priced 7K golfers, which I don't think people do that when they build lineups.
No. There's too many nice big names. They'll take some value downstairs and then pick a couple 8s as well.
Right. So
because you're not clicking Akshay Bhattia's name over, I guess.
Well, and I think a lot of people also see a lot of the things that I talk about or that we talk about. It's like, okay, so in this 7K range, 7,900, you had Harris English finish 4th, and then the next 4 guys, I mean, Akshay did finish top 16, but you got to get down to Ricky Fowler to finish 8th, and then look at the rest of the 7K range. $7,100 Kurt Kitayama finished 8th. All we had was 3 golfers in the 7K range finishing top 10.
Just not good enough results.
Why would you play 5 7K golfers?
Yeah.
You know, like,
you can't even find. How many guys finished inside the top 10 of the 7K range?
I think it was just, I think we just said it. Hold up. I'm trying to figure out a good way to do this. So just top 10. And this is salaries from top to bottom. So 79, 76, 71. You only had 3.
So you would have to have had literally the perfect combination, the 10, 7, 7, 6, 6, 6. Sorry, 10, 7, 7, 6, 6.
Yeah. If you were to do it that way that you're talking about, I mean, we're pretend that this is 10-5, so we have $500 to work with. Yeah, you would have to pick the perfect combination of these last 5 golfers, and you'd be leaving $4,000 on the table. Like, that's just not happening.
No, but with Scotty,
could you build that lineup with Scotty? It's 49.4. Yeah.
So you would have to go below the average. You know, it's just too far. It's the combination is too hard to reach.
Absolutely, 1,000%. 1,000%.
It's getting cute. Despite
does this lineup even beat the GPP winning lineup? That's 580.5. I'm just gonna clear out. We want a GPP winner for 2026, and I need to get 10th place out of here. Hold on, I gotta get the 10th place thing out of here. 604.5, so it was 24 points below. If you started with Scotty and you had that perfect combination of 5 golfers, leaving $600 on the table, it just doesn't work. It doesn't.
Yeah. But maybe this week is the, but I guess there's some names to click. Do we want to go back to names that we would click if we go with?
Yeah.
We can just keep cruising down. Yeah. So
Uh,
yeah,
can we call it in like 10 minutes?
absolutely.
So
I think that makes too much sense to me. I think Minwoo Lee is going to be a great value at whatever price he comes in at.
mhm.
He's been hitting his long irons well. He's hitting a ball a million miles, and he can putt. Like Harris just finished 4th at RBC Heritage. I like that a lot. Bridgman, he had one bad round at RBC Heritage and didn't finish top 20, but played well over the rest of the course of the tournament. I like him. Ben Griffin seems to make some sense as well, although I was just randomly thinking about a delivery of Ben Griffin stats, and last year he had more runner-ups to Scotty Scheffler than he has top 20s this year.
Yeah.
And he won 3 times last year, so he had those 2 runner-ups. Like,
You know what's interesting is the 2 golfers you just mentioned, Ben Griffin and Jacob Bridgman. Bridgman is kind of going in the path of, you had all these top 20s and now you're moving into 30th place and 40th place finishes. Ben Griffin had missed cuts and now his finishes are getting slightly better. So it's not like good as in Jacob Bridgman good, but
he's converging. They're converging.
Yep.
I will say that it was Bridgman's debut at the Masters, and whatever. But I agree. I think I'm still going to be in on Bridgman if you just take a look at what he's got up to this year.
Okay.
Michael Thorbjornsson is not in the field. I think Nikolai Højgaard makes way too much sense. Kurt Kitayama makes way too much sense.
Yeah, Kurt Kitayama, I think is. Listen, Kurt Kitayama's won the API. I'm not saying that's a perfect correlation to this golf course, but they're both in Florida. They're not that well. They are far away from each other. Never mind. One's in Orlando, one's in Miami.
Same state.
Yeah, and it's kind of same grass. Although API is overseeded, I wonder how much Bermuda is really going to be, prominent at this golf course. I haven't seen a fact sheet yet from the GCSAA, but my whole thing is Kurt Kitayama. If it gets windy in Florida, he still hits the ball pure enough that it's not really going to gobble up his golf ball, and he's playing well, and he's played well on Florida courses in the past.
Yeah, I think API and Houston are 2 solid. I know it sounds weird for Houston to be a comp for this, but I think it's just kind of like the way it's looking, with the rough not being that high up.
Agreed.
Reasonable amount of water around there on the back 9. JJ Spahn's starting to find some stuff, bits and pieces, but I don't see him being the perfect fit for this golf course. No. Anyone sticking out to you? Yeah, I think Keegan Bradley sticks out to me from like a total driving perspective, and just but I don't know how he's going to be able to putt his way around here.
There's a narrative I could make about Justin Thomas, this just being an old man's golf course or an experienced good golfer. He doesn't have that Masters comp that I was kind of bringing up, but if he wants to walk in the footsteps of his idol Tiger Woods, this would be a golf course that he'd want to master. And he has played it before. I don't hate it, and especially I don't know. I'm not going to make it. I have no idea if these comp courses are actually going to matter or not, or even if they are comp courses. It's just the eye test tells me that they're kind of similar. Even the Players Championship is something that I don't hate, kind of looking at golfers who've played well there coming to this course and playing well. And obviously JT's a Players Champion. And yeah, I think it's fine. Not something I'm really hanging my hat on, by the way, BYRON. Not like if he's a $7,800 golfer, JT is going to look really enticing to play.
There's a good chance he is. He's right around that range of guys in the 7K range. And I think I like Sepp over JT for sure. I think JT's interesting, man. It depends on how long the rough is. If the rough gets a little gnarly, I like him less and less just because of how he drives the golf ball. But
Yeah.
and the fact that he's super good around the greens, that's where he gains most of his strokes. And the fact that not necessarily being the best avenue to success at this golf course kind of makes me feel a little sour on JT, if I'm being honest with you. The same goes with Sahith.
Sure.
Gary Woodland obviously is going to be a core situation for me at this price, at this golf course. If you think about Houston comps, I mean, Jesus, dude,
Gary Woodland's odds are worse than Sam Stevens' odds.
Yeah. I've bet this already. I put $5 on there. It's a silly line. I think this could close south of 50-1 for sure. If once people figure out that you need distance at this golf course, he leads the fucking PGA Tour in distance. And he's been playing well. He's won on tour already. He's putting well. He can't chip. That's his only derogatory stat, and he's totally gonna not have to do that much, or not impact him that much this week.
This is a silly question to ask because you can't really compare these things. When you watched coverage of Live at Doral, this isn't going to work out in my head. In my head, it's just not. Anyways, what I was going to say is I'm worried about Woodland and people being too close to him. Obviously he's talked about that when it comes to his mental health. I don't remember old Cadillac championships having a ton of people around, but this goes back to 2016. So I don't know. The course is wide open from what I remember, when there's just not a lot of trees that really block any of the courses. It just seems like it's kind of wide open where spectators, outside of water being in the way, can pretty much stand wherever. I don't know if the ropes are going to be like that narrow when it comes to.
I think it's going to be fine. I think we're going to have the security, especially with only 70 people playing at being a signature event. The crowds will technically be bigger around each group, so I think they'll probably just go off of one. So, but the crowds were massive at all of these venues. I think at RBC Heritage, same situation. There's no way to walk there. There's bottlenecky type situation. So I think he's handled it fine. And it's a big property again. So
and if I'm being honest, I'm trying to make the argument for Gary Woodland because I think he's not going to find himself. Well, I think he's going to have to play with Scotty Scheffler in order for the crowds to be really crazy. Outside of that, he's going to have to be winning the tournament or in the top 10, which if he's at that point, and that's what we were worrying about, or what I'm worrying about with his mental health and stuff like that, when it comes to being too close, that means he's doing good.
Exactly. That's a good problem.
He's helping. Yeah, he's helping your lineups more than he's hurting. So I'm with you on Woodland. Now that I've talked it through, I'm all in on Woodland.
Let's go. Daniel Berger.
I was just going to mention his name,
flirting with the 6K range, probably.
Seems like a great place to play Berger. And you were earlier in our pod here, you were bringing up the best approach players,
strikers.
Right?
Yeah, the best ball strikers, and his approach play from 200 plus is like so good. It's the second best behind Siwoo Kim on this golf course. If you kind of take all the approaches from the different buckets. And the putting is bad, but it's on Bermuda. If there's any venue for him to gain strokes putting, it's on Bermuda. I think Daniel Berger's a seriously nice option.
Yeah. And again, when your approach game is that good, if you ain't making all your putts, you're going to be losing strokes gain putting. So all he does to do is just make a couple, like two per round more, and he'll be in the positives for strokes gain putting.
Yeah. I think Taylor Penrith is the sneaky option. Agreed. I don't like we saw the iron play, but again, when it comes to the ball striking, like the off the tee numbers at this golf course for him is going to be really impressive. He's one of the better off the tee guys. Maybe the iron play dials up a little bit and he's good to go. But I think he's sneaky. Ryan Fox, did he start showing up finally at the Heritage?
Yeah.
How did he do there? 16th at the Heritage. So that's good to see. Starting to find his groove again after a shoddy start to the year. I think Ryan Fox, tons of distance off the tee as well. Good long iron player. Yalamaraju makes too much sense as well.
I feel like he got, yeah.
He's drifting backwards a little bit. I bet
Yalamaraju and Zurich. Like, if that's the case, then it just feels like just ignore it and just play him because he's been playing good golf.
Yeah, exactly. It was so funny. I bet him and Ryan Gerard to win the tournament at 100-1 and to finish top 10. They were T26 to start the weekend because T26 was what made the cut. And they were 5 back, I think, of the lead after 2 rounds. I bet them after 2 rounds. The first 9 in best ball, I think they shot 1 over par or 1 under.
Oh my God.
Best ball. They immediately, like within holes of me betting them, they went to last place. It was like the quickest I've ever had a bet live. You know, like I bet them after round 2, halfway through round 3, they were last. It was just like it was over. It was so weird. They just couldn't. They made 2 bogeys in a best ball format around TPC Louisiana as professionals.
Damn,
nasty.
Yeah, no kidding.
Brian Harman around this golf course is going to be so difficult to project playing well.
Agreed.
Patrick Rogers, on the other hand, seems like someone I'm in the mood for at a golf course like this. Long golf course, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Aldrich.
Smotherman.
I think those are some going to be chalky options. I think I've kind of just rattled off all the plays that will make way too much sense on paper.
I think I could actually get behind Max Homa too. I'm not a huge Homa fan, but I could probably stomach it this week, especially if he's in the 6K range.
Yeah, he'll be in the 6Ks. I mean, anything in the hundreds is probably in the 6s. So,
okay.
Brian Campbell is hilarious. Because look at this. We'll end the show on this. If you want to win $2,750, all you have to do is bet $1 on Brian Campbell to win the Cadillac. It's
pretty good, man. It's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Pretty good.
Pretty nice.
Pretty nice. If you want to just finish top 10, you can turn it into $54 if you bet 1. So there's only 70 guys. He has to beat like 55 other guys this week, and he's like 55-1. Anyway, that's the Brian Harman situation, Darbo.
Brian Campbell.
It's worse than the Brian Harman situation. It's the Brian Campbell situation.
Yeah. All right, man. I think we did a good job going through the board there.
At least it was a bit of an expedited one.
Yeah.
I think I've got a decent idea of what we can expect this week. Just long iron play, good drivers, good putters, distance.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So I'll do more of a deep dive Tuesday night when I go live. I believe Tuesday. Yeah, I suppose we have one more week. Yeah, next month, or we have a week until. What I'm trying to get at is, I'll do a monthly giveaway, not this Tuesday, but next Tuesday. So if you want a chance to get in on a monthly giveaway that I run, be there Tuesday night. Comment in the live section or comment on the replay of the video. And it's your last opportunity to get entries into the monthly giveaway. So check me out Tuesday. Like I said, I'll deep dive this, try to find the best lineups to build, whether they're Scotty lineups or whether they're not Scotty lineups. We'll figure it out. We'll put together the best lineups we can that makes sense. Kind of going over a lot of the things we did today, but maybe a little bit more in detail and more in the sweet spot way. But yeah. We'll try to find our best plays, and hopefully pricing is, I hope pricing's in our favor. Like, I just don't want to see a 15.5 Scotty and then, just not having anybody super great in the 6 and 7K range.
A 15.5 Scotty or a 14.5 Scotty?
I said 14.5. I think I said 14.5. Okay.
I heard 15.5. I think that is time for us to end the show regardless.
You're getting all blurry on me over there, by the way.
Am I?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just everything about it. It's just time to call it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe to our 2 channels. Please do them both, Sweet Spot DFS and Back 9 Bets. I'll be doing all of my stuff on Mayo Media. I'm also thinking about doing a couple more members only videos as we go along. Maybe doing like a stream as I do my bets tomorrow morning, from like 9 to 11, just 2 hours as I'm hanging out, and then like a Wednesday night hangout session as well.
Sweet.
Like, we'll see. So
awesome.
All right, friends, 2 hours on the dot. Let's do it here. We're going to end the stream like literally 120 minutes. That is a first time record for the two of us.
First time.
We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.